things that you can do to stay healthy. Today on Health Matters, Dr. Richard Ferguson gives us some ideas of how to boost our immune systems during what's supposed to be the most wonderful time of the year.
I look at it in kind of like four parts. One is to build a shield before you need to boost. And part of that is I kind of went over in a prior visit, and that is vaccines plus clean hands. I'll put it really simple. Vaccines, clean hands. So we have to understand that hand washing, something as simple as that, can prevent pretty much like 1 in 5 respiratory infections. A lot of people think it's always, oh, I'm in a room and someone's coughing on me. No, it's you touching an item, not washing your hand, or touching someone else. And then how many times do we touch our face in a day? I think there was some kind of study done where they put like a glow-in-the-dark or UV paint on someone, and then they could see how many times they touched their face in like a matter of an hour. So I think that's one thing, the winter shield, vaccine plus hands. And then also sleep. A lot of us don't protect our sleep. Sleep is like medicine. So I tend to say adults, 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep. If you don't get consistent sleep, you're more likely to catch a cold, and especially if you're exposed to a virus. That's why you can get some, households where, let's say you have a well-rested spouse and then one that's overworked and stressed, and one comes home, one is sick. You both were at the same event where everyone else got exposed, but the one that's well-rested and exercises decently doesn't seem to acquire the virus that you were both exposed to. So a simple way I look at this is, if you're burning the candle at both ends, you're also burning down your immune system. And then another way I like to think about it, and I alluded to this during Heart Health for the holidays, moderate exercise. I'm talking a 20, 30-minute walk most days compared to being sedentary. We don't need an all-out boot camp, right? We don't need to do something like that. But your immune system likes movement, not punishment. So don't overdo it. Vaccines plus hand washing is our shield. Sleeping actually is a great booster for one's immune system. And I would say lastly, eat real food. All right, as we're going to lead into for our second discussion, fruits, vegetables, beans, lean proteins, healthy fats, they give your immune cells their vitamins that are minerals that are necessary for those immune cells to continue to replicate and build. It makes them more robust. So fruits, vegetables, beans, lean meat, and stay hydrated. Try to not, this is a time when a lot of people are going to have probably less water, more sugary drinks, because that's what auntie puts out on the table or grandma, and they're going to push away from water. Let's make sure we keep water in real food.
Yeah, such great advice. I think the problem is we don't think about any of those things as we start moving into the holidays and we're busy and we don't make the time to get the proper exercise, or we stop thinking about hand washing because we've got 500 other million things on our minds. So I can see why we start getting sick, or we're sick more often during the holidays.
Yeah, chronic stress weakens the immune response. So I think this should just become a part of a daily practice. Along with, say, deep breathing or prayer or those short walks. Another thing, not to anything against KSL, but unplugging from the news for a little bit can also be a good way to address stress hormones that we also want to make sure we keep at lower levels so that our immune system isn't overworked. And that's where we go back to sleep. That's where we go back to being able to make sure we have a healthier diet, which is harder to control. But I would just have to think about, do you want to enjoy the holidays, or do you want to be closed behind a room with tissues, sipping NyQuil, and away from spending time with your family? That's what you need to kind of understand. Do you want to be healthy for Christmas, or not take precautions around Christmas time, and then you're sick on New Year's Eve?
Yeah, let's focus on stress for just a minute, because we kind of just touched on that a bit. And unplugging a little bit. What does happen to us when we get overstressed and we just have too much stuff going on?
Well, one thing is our white blood cell count can go up in our body. So initially, stress can be our body responds to it by our cortisol levels go up, which one has to understand is sort of like it's a hormone that's in our body that helps with our circadian, our cyclical rhythm of when to be alert and when to be sleepy during the evening. But also cortisol will tend to also impact insulin that's released. So when we have significant amounts of stress in our life due to either poor sleep, poor emotional management, or we're having, our emotions are impacted because of financial stressors, or we're trying to put food on the table for our family, that leads to our white cell count going up. Then eventually it will drop when it's up or stressed for too long. And then our immune system, our cells start to get tired of often being elevated as a result of our hormones in our body stimulating them more. So it gets to the point where they're a little bit overstimulated, and then we start to be more susceptible for viruses and bacteria to have growth on our body and to replicate.
And that's why you say take that time for yourself, whether that be through prayer or just unplugging, or maybe both of those things and more things as well.
Yeah, you want to keep your cortisol levels consistently at around the same level. You don't want peaks. You don't want insulin being released unnecessarily due to, say, a poor diet where you're having like a consistently high number of sugary beverages and fatty foods. But also, yes, trying to remove oneself. Identifying the stressor, I think, is sometimes what people have the most difficulty with. Because it could just be something as simple as like, well, I'm stressed all the time because of my home life. I have 4 kids. I'm a stay-at-home mom, or I'm a working mom, or I'm a stay-at-home dad, and I'm managing a company that I'm doing out of my garage and have to get orders done, and stuff is coming through Etsy. The thing is, you have to either make space for yourself, or this will eventually catch up to you.
All right.
And often that can be something, if you're young, it's something as simple as a cold, or maybe the flu, but at least you had time to get a vaccine to try to minimize how harmful it could be to you. But if you're older and you allow this stress to impact you, and you have comorbidities such as hypertension, obesity, and diabetes, that could lead to chest pain and an possible heart attack. So both ends of the spectrum need to make time and space to unplug, rest, meditate, even if it's 20, 30 minutes. That's why sometimes I encourage people, take a nap. I know it's Christmas Eve. Take a nap. People will still eat. They will be okay.
Okay, anything you wanted to add on that subject?
I would just say, if you are someone that's the provider in the family, a lot of weight comes onto your shoulders, or parent weight comes onto your shoulders during the upcoming holidays. And it's your family sometimes can only be as strong as their leader, sometimes as the provider, and you want to make sure that you continue to be a support for your family, and a support for your partner. So taking these steps, staying hydrated, eating healthier, making time for just a little rest during the day, or just walking with your family can really help to help your immune system stay stronger. And once again, please wash those hands. I went on a run or bike with my fitness group on Sunday, and all of us, had to go to the restroom right afterwards. And then we all wanted to give each other handshakes or hugs. And it's like, we're not doing that. We're just gonna say wave hi and go home and wash our hands. They're like, yes, doc. Yes, doc.
Dr. Richard Ferguson is an emergency room doctor and the founder and president of the Black Physicians of Utah.